Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This will be the last video of me in this makeup, I promise. We are going to be doing my 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes. I just got done filming the 10 palettes that I've used the most recently. So this is my favorite palettes, if I had to pick favorite palettes. Now these aren't all necessarily the ones that I use the most, but like going through, I would be sad if I didn't have them probably. It was hard to pick 10. So yeah, we're going to get into that. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button down below before we get started. It means a lot to me, helps me out. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And we're just going to get started. So the first palette, now there are a couple of these if you watch that other video that are in here, but I would say there's only two, maybe two from that video. I had trouble picking out a mauve palette because I have this, I have the Naked Cherry, I have the Fairy Light, Fairy whatever from Tarte that's mauve colored also, but I think the pigmentation in this is the best out of those three. It is very pink. The Urban Decay Naked Cherry is probably a close second to this, because I do like that one a lot too. But yeah, the pigmentation in this is definitely better, more of a punch. But like I said, I love the Naked Cherry a lot, so that one's a close second. We have the Nightingale palette by Pretty Vulgar. This is a cool tone palette. A lot of people didn't like this. If you do not like cool tone shadows, you wouldn't like this, but I use this one a lot to do grungy looks when I want to do cooler tones. I love this shade right here. What is it called? Silver Spoon. It's just a very soft, velvety denim color. It looks nice on the lower lash line. I love this shade Clutch all over the lid. Doing wet is super sparkly. Break Free is nice. I don't know. It's just a nice palette. I got this in a BoxyCharm. I like it a lot. I use it a lot. I use this in conjunction with my Naked Basics because that's an all matte palette and this one has some shimmers in it. So when I use that palette, I generally use this one in conjunction with it because I like a shimmery lid. I do have two Jules Place palettes, but they're not together. So the first one is the Tribe. I've been on a green kick recently. My husband's favorite color is green, and this has greens and oranges in it, and it's like these mossy, earthy tones. I don't know, I get some really pretty grungy looks with this palette. There are the blues. Like I said, there's oranges, there's greens, there's browns. It's just pretty. And even this shade, like it looks almost white on camera. It has yellow in it, and it's just a really pretty, it's just a really pretty shade. This is a unique palette to me. And I really enjoy it. I've been using it a lot. I definitely used it a lot towards the end of school, for sure. The next one would be considered a everyday work palette. I use that term a lot, and I don't mean it to be offensive, but this is a neutral, everyday palette. This is the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. I got this in a Boxy Luxe. I love this. I love the formula of the Violet Voss. Like I said, when I saw pictures of this online, I was like, oh my gosh, another neutral palette. But it's really pretty, really nice fall. Like I said, it's basic. You've got some yellows, you got the cranberry shades, you got some browns. Like it's nothing to yell home about, but the formula is nice. And every look I've done with this palette has turned out and been pretty. And it's a nice everyday palette to do wearable looks. The next palette is a Too Faced palette. There's a few Too Faced. Too Faced is my favorite brand, probably hands down. But out of my chocolate bar tins, the Gingerbread Spice is probably my favorite. It has definitely some of the brightest colors in it. Every time I use this palette, I get compliments on my looks. It's, again, a very nice fall palette. It's got pinks and oranges. I think this is the reason I felt like I didn't need the chocolate gold palette, because it has some of these shimmery that look like they were in that one also. And I really like this palette. Like I said, I've never been disappointed with an eye look that I've done with that. The next one surprised me, and this is the Sleigh Bells by Laura Lee. I have Animal Party and Nudie Patootie, and I like Nudie Patootie a lot, but I was just blown away by the quality. And this is a small palette. There's only 6 shadows. You got a red, you got a green. The green, these ones aren't matte. You've only got 2 matte shades, but I've done like the green in my crease and it works fine as a crease shade. Again, it's not anything to yell home about, but it's a nice palette. And we have the Masquerade palette by Jules Place. This is probably not a surprise. I have talked about this in several videos. Like if I lost all my makeup, I would be repurchasing this. I like this because if you take away the top 2 rows, it's just a neutral palette. And then you've got these nice pops of color. So this to me gives you the best of both worlds. You can do everyday makeup, you can do fun makeup, you can mix it up. And the quality is really good. I love Juvia's Place. I have a lot of their palettes. The next one, I'm sure everybody is tired of me talking about. The Pumpkin Spice by Too Faced. This again was an HSN exclusive. I need to write them a letter. They need to bring this back. This was an awesome palette. The bundle that you got was such a good deal. It was like $54 and you got this and a full-size mascara and a brush and a lip gloss. And the palette is so good. And nobody talked about this palette because they didn't send it out in PR and everybody just looked at pictures and like, oh, it's a neutral palette. But the quality is phenomenal. I know Too Faced sometimes isn't always consistent with their holiday palettes, but this one was so good and I use it all the time. And I'm going to be really sad when I use it up because you can't get it. It was limited edition. The next one is another one that I've talked about a lot. This is the Jeffree Star Alien palette. I started speeding up because my battery's going to die, so I'm trying to get through these last 2 before it craps out. But I love this palette so much. I've talked about that I love this palette. I talked about it in my Jeffree Star brand review. I've talked about it in, you know, where I have ranked my eyeshadow collection. This was in that video. This surprised me a lot. And this to me is a very neutral palette. Like there are pops of color, but you can do very neutral wearable looks with this one too. It's just good. And it blew me away because it looks boring and the photos of it online look boring, but it is phenomenal. This is my favorite Jeffree Star palette. And it is one of my favorite palettes of all time. The packaging is a little bit annoying, but I have bigger drawers for eyeshadow palettes now, so it's not as big of a deal. And the last one is a Too Faced palette, and this is another one. People hate this palette, and I think they hate it because of the sheer size of it. It's bigger than my head. This is the Anniversary palette. It smells like vanilla. The quality of this is not bad. I think people are mainly put off because of the size, because like you saw, it's bigger than my head. The quality is so good. That, and there's only like 3 matte shades in here, and that really annoys people. I'll do an all glittery eye, I don't care. So it doesn't bother me at all. The colors in here are so pretty, and this is another palette. Every look I've ever done with this palette has been pretty, and I've gotten compliments on it, and I love it. And the quality is amazing. Like I said, if you can get past the size of it, it's a really good palette. So yeah, those are my 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes currently. So yeah, let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite palettes. I would be really interested to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button again if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.